As an experiment back in 2007, somebody got Joshua Bell, a world-renowned violinist, to play his $3.5 million violin in the DC subway. He performed some beautiful pieces of music that he would normally play in concerts, except that rather than playing to sold-out concert halls with expensive tickets, he was playing surrounded by a moving crowd with a violin case open for donations. The experiment was to see if people would recognize the beauty of the music and recognize his genius in that unlikely circumstance. And it turned out that the vast majority did not. In fact, many people didn't just not see how good a violin player he was. They didn't see him at all, but were rushing by with earphones in their ears and their eyes focused on what they were doing. In fact, outside of one woman who recognized his face from having gone to his concert before, people generally try to avoid eye contact and ignore him as much as possible. Out of over 1,000 people who passed by in the 45 minutes he played, less than 100 acknowledged him, with only a couple people stopping to listen for even a minute. And if it's that hard to notice beautiful music when it's being performed physically 4 feet away, how hard is it to listen to what God is trying to say to us each day, often in the silence? That is why we have a reminder of the importance of listening for what God is doing and saying in our lives in both of our readings today. When Joseph, the official, and the woman of the hemorrhage recognized that God was present with them, they became open to the gifts that God wanted them to receive. They did in different ways. Joseph recognized God speaking to him in a dream. The official petitioned for what he needed because he recognized Jesus as an incredible teacher. And the woman knew that there was divinity there, and all she needed to was reach out and touch it. In every case, that openness to God's presence changed their lives by letting them experience the wonder and the joy of knowing they're perfectly loved. God is speaking to each one of us in that same way today. It might be through something we hear in conversation. It could be through a passage in the Scriptures. It might be in a moment of quiet prayer. It could even be in a dream tonight. Whatever it is, there will be a moment today that God is trying to draw our attention to. There's something that's going to cause our hearts to respond. We have to look for those moments. We have to be ready for them. We have to be prepared to follow that tugging on our hearts. If we do so, our lives will be transformed in some way. Maybe in a small way, but maybe in a great one. Either way, it will be a positive change, because God is trying to guide us to something greater. He wants to give us strength, healing, guidance, and the knowledge that we are loved. This is a beautiful thing. But just as in the subway station in DC, so in our lives it's so easy to get caught up in the busyness of our lives, to be surrounded by noise and rush and miss the beauty that's trying to draw us, trying to get our attention. Let's make sure that we do what we can to prepare our hearts to listen for the divine invitation that calls us to something great today.